Are we all good to go? All right, my name is Herb Anderson. I think most of you have picked that up already, and I'm the Director of Business Development for Hannigan Motorsports out of Murray, Kentucky. I've been in and around trikes now in one way and another for a couple of decades, so it's become a big part of my life. And of course, motorcycling is a huge part of my life. I calculate that I'm now over 1 million miles on motorcycles, so it's you got to spend a lot of your time sitting on a motorcycle in order to do that. Today we're here to talk about specifically the Hannigan Trikes and some of the advantages that they have as compared to some of the other trikes that are out there. We'll talk features and benefits, but even before we do that, I kind of want to back up a little bit and start with the most basic question, which is, why might somebody want to consider a trike in the first place? And believe it or not, if you have not been selling trikes up until now, that's a question that you're going to receive. Why would I want to have a trike? And I've jotted down a few of the ideas that popped into my head as to why someone might want to have a three-wheel motorcycle, or as we commonly call them, a trike. Safety is a big deal. I find a lot of wives, for example, have got to the point where they told their husband, I'm not going to ride with you anymore unless and until you put the motorcycle on three wheels. You may have run into that. How many of you have sold a trike before now? Okay. Well over half of you have sold a trike. How many of you have ridden a trike? Okay. But mostly the same group. It may not be a coincidence that the ones that have ridden them have been the ones that have sold them too. So I would encourage it. Yeah, and hurt your knee in the process.
Man, you wouldn't believe the size of that short.
Okay. In terms of stability, obviously, this thing can be stopped without falling over. If somebody is just learning to ride, a trike is actually an easy way to do it, because if they stall it out, they don't fall over. They don't have to catch that bike before it hits the ground. So there's some advantages that way too. Maneuverability, you might be surprised that I would put that in here, but you can take this trike, put it into a full lock and pull circles in the parking lot with no trouble at all. Most people can't do that with a two-wheeled motorcycle. It takes a lot more skill, for sure, to be able to accomplish that task. I was up in Laconia some years back, staying in the hotel, and I had a trike parked out in the parking lot. And I came out in the morning, and there was a guy standing there with his buddies next to my trike, and he was one of those experts that doesn't know anything. And he was telling them, these trikes, he said they just won't handle it all. If you try to turn a trike, it wants to pull the wheel up and turn over on you. You can't do a tight turn with these things at all. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. So anyway, I didn't say anything to him. I just jumped on it. They backed up, and I pulled like 3 real hard donuts right there in the parking lot, and then rode off and let him deal with that. And next morning, I stayed. We were there for several days. I came out the next morning to get on my trike. Here's this same guy with a different group. And he's saying, you wouldn't believe how these things handle. I saw this yesterday, and this guy pulled these tight donuts right here in the parking lot. I couldn't do that with my two-wheeler. And then he saw me coming. He said, oh, and here he is now. So it was pretty funny. Maneuverability, yeah, for sure. If you need to get in and out through tight spots, as long as you got enough width for the trike, it's a very maneuverable machine. And by the way, that little story that I just told you, what you want to do is kind of collect your own stories, because there are people who will respond to stories better than they will to just hard facts. And that's just a little sales thing, but you guys know how that works. Traction, if you get on a slick surface, rain, gravel, even a little bit of ice, you've got a much better chance of finding traction. And even if you do slip a little bit, it's not going to lay down on you. Braking distance, because of the big brakes and the tires that you've got back there, you're going to have actually a shorter braking distance with the trike than you do with the same motorcycle on two wheels, which does surprise some people, but it actually does work out that way. If you're towing something, you know, there's no concern about pulling a trailer behind it. There's no possibility of it laying over on the side and twisting your trailer tongue, that kind of thing. In terms of two-up riding, it gives a lot more opportunity for the second rider, particularly, to have more freedom to move around. You know, if they want to shift their weight, particularly at a stop sign or very low speeds, it's not going to upset the motorcycle. A lot of people appreciate that. You know, the wife wants to turn around and take a picture of something that they just passed. It's not an issue. I guess I'm assuming there that the wife is the one on the back. That's not always the case, but it seems to be that way more often than not. In terms of storage, you know, you've got more room to carry things. Your carrying capacity in terms of your GVWR is way up compared to a two-wheel motorcycle. Visibility, and I'm talking there about your visibility to other traffic. You're a little bigger, you're easier to see, so you know that's something that a lot of people appreciate. And in many cases, it also means more lights because people have a bigger surface and there's more lights added in order to be able to work with that. And then, of course, a big reason why people go to trikes is related to physical limitations. And you have to be a little careful when you're saying that to somebody, but you know the fact is that a lot of people come and will tell you, you know, I'm getting to the point where I can't hold my bike up anymore, or my wife's afraid I'm going to drop it, or that kind of thing. It can be upper body strength. A lot of times women choose to ride trikes because they can ride a big bike now and keep up with anybody else, and they don't need to worry about holding it up. My wife is just a little bitty lady. She's 5'1". She says 5'1¼ but the quarter inch is imaginary. You know, she has literally ridden trikes all over North America. In fact, one time we led a group of trike riders, she and I on two different trikes, from Nashville all the way up into northwestern Canada, over every scenic, twisty piece of road that we could find in between, and had a great time doing it. It's really, you know, a good way to go. Short people, you know, there's a story that somebody asked Abraham Lincoln one time. He was very tall. You know, how long a man's legs should be. They were kind of making a joke at him, and he said they should be long enough to reach the ground. Well, you know, back in his day, that was probably just a joke, but when it comes to riding a motorcycle, if we're talking two-wheelers, being long enough to reach the ground is fairly significant to some people. And here you have something that anybody can ride. You know, a short person can jump on any trike and ride it comfortably. So a lot of opportunities there. And then customization. When you take a two-wheeled motorcycle and make it into a three-wheel motorcycle, you've done a certain amount of customization just in that fact. But you've also created the opportunity to do a lot of other stuff. For example, you now have a lot more body work that provides opportunity for people to take and, you know, paint things up in all kinds of elaborate ways. We have a gentleman right now who has actually acquired a trike that is in the process of being painted with an extremely elaborate paint job, Native American scenes. And I mean, the thing is going to be an awesome work of art.